You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth from our trading desk in Chicago.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network. You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Well, that was a bumpy ride. Can anybody hear me? I installed some new equipment over the weekend and they're not playing nice with each other. Somebody type something in the chat box. Let me know if you can hear me or not. Okay, I gather you can't hear me. Okay. Well, we'll just wait for Michael to show up, which will be in about 50 minutes. Oh, thank you so much, Jill. I don't know what happened to the rest of you. All right. So it's working. I just can't hear myself. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're always glad to have you right here, right now. And again, Jill or Dan or whoever that is, thank you. All right. Let's just get down to business. Daily devotional, prayer, news, the alerts. Michael will join us about 12:50 for a recap of the live training room. Then we'll do some live trading on TradingView for about a half an hour. And then we'll wrap things up with our good word for the day. And at some point, we'll figure out what went wrong. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I guess that remains to be seen. All right, the topic of our devotion that we're in right now, we're in day 9 of 12, strengthening your faith with the heavenly gifts, or as they're called, the gifts of the Spirit. Our scripture is 1 Corinthians 14, verses 1 through 3, from the Message translation. Go after a life of love as if your life depended on it, because it does. Give yourselves to the gifts God gives you. Most of all, try to proclaim His truth. If you praise Him in the private language of tongues, God understands you, but no one else does. For you are sharing intimacies just between you and Him. But when you proclaim His truth in everyday speech, you're letting others in on the truth so that they can grow and be strong and experience His presence with you. 1 Corinthians 14, 1 through 3. Today's topic has to do with the gift of prophecy. And as with all the gifts of the Spirit, as we've discussed over these past 8 days, You got to ask. Asking for the gift of prophecy is a step of faith and willingness to let God use you for the good of others. Paul encourages us to pursue love and to desire the gift of prophecy. With the gift of prophecy, God can speak through you to encourage, guide, and comfort those around you. This gift is not for bragging rights or to show that you are more spiritual, but to bring His love and light into the lives of those in need. When you ask for the gift of prophecy, be prepared to receive words that can help and inspire others while always remaining humble and open to God's will. Prophecy is often a word of encouragement or comfort for someone who is going through a difficult time. You don't have to be afraid. If God calls you to this gift, He will also give you the wisdom to use it. Heavenly Father, help us to follow the way of love and eagerly desire the gifts of your Spirit, especially the gift of prophecy. Teach us to speak words that strengthen, encourage, and comfort others, reflecting your heart in all we do. May we use our gifts to build up the church and bring glory to your name. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray, and everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Monday, I guess. I think this will be our last trading day of the year. I think we're closed tomorrow. So let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets or the indices. Ending the year on a bit of a down note. The Dow down 315 points. The NASDAQ down 168. S&P 500 down 46. And the Russell 2000 down 20 points, almost 1%. NASDAQ's down almost 1% too. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 81 cents, trading 71.41 last. That's a gain of well over 1%, or $820 per contract traded. Gold down $17.80, trading 26.1410 last. Pretty soon they'll be giving it away. Silver down 56 cents. Wow. Trading 29.40 last. That's a drop of almost 2%. So much for the flight to safety. All right, in the Asian markets, the Nikkei fell 388 points, 1%. Shanghai gained 7. Hang Seng fell 49. And in the European markets, FTSE down 28, DAX down 75, the CAC down 41. So that gave us a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And so far, it's a big red Radio Monday here in the US of A. Now, the markets will be open tomorrow. But the last time Michael and I spoke, which I think was on this broadcast last week, we're going to be closed tomorrow. So just go enjoy New Year's Eve. The markets will be waiting for you after the first of the year. All right, a little bit of news. Former President Jimmy Carter, as I'm sure you've heard, has passed away yesterday at his home in the town of Plains, Georgia. Carter was the only U.S. president to live to be 100 years old. Wonder if that had anything to do with his faith. maybe he wasn't quite as stressed out as all the other presidents. And I know the world views his presidency through the eyes of the world as a complete failure. But some of the things that Jimmy did, we have no way of knowing what complete catastrophes we may have avoided, because I honestly believe that Jimmy Carter had God's ear and vice versa. I'm not talking about the Obama faith or the Clinton faith. I'm talking about real faith. I mean, long after he ended his presidency, he continued to teach Bible studies, even Sunday school at his local church. In fact, you could go out to his church. He had a standing invitation. If you came to church on Sunday, he would be happy to meet with you, chat with you, and take a photograph with you. Both he and his wife. Jimmy was, or President Carter, was a former U.S. naval officer turned peanut farmer. He was a Georgia native, as am I, but he was a Democrat. He entered politics in 1963 as a state senator, rising to become governor in 71. In 76, he was elected president. So from 63 to 76, it took him 13 years from the time he was elected a senator to the time he was elected a president, beating Republican incumbent Gerald Ford by a pretty slim margin, 50.1 to 48%. Carter's single term in office was marked by an economic slowdown, the Iran hostage crisis, and the after effects of the Vietnam War. He ultimately lost the 1980 election to Republican Ronald Reagan in an electoral landslide, 489 to 49. He was a winner of the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize. Carter was known for his philanthropic efforts, including his participation in Habitat for Humanity, which he continued into his 90s. And he was involved in a lot of other noble causes. And when you would see Jimmy building one of these houses for the unhoused, I don't think you're allowed to say homeless anymore, the unhoused. It wasn't a photo op where they would say, hey, take this hammer and go stand over there and act like you're hammering something. No, he actually worked. He sawed wood, he hammered nails, he built houses. So, and he didn't get paid for that. He did it because of his character and who he was as both a man and a president. On another dark note, 179 people were killed yesterday morning when a commercial airliner crashed on landing at South Korea's Muan Airport. 2 people, both crew members working for operator Jeju Air, survived what is believed to be the worst air disaster in the country's history. Now that's South Korea's history. Early reports suggest the aircraft, a Boeing 737 en route from Bangkok, may have been struck by a bird, though it was unclear whether it was the engine or elsewhere, maybe the cockpit window. The control tower did receive a mayday call from the pilots, and 5 minutes later the plane reached the runway, but failed to deploy its landing gear, sliding into an embankment before exploding. Officials have said it could take weeks to analyze the flight recorder and try to figure out what happened. The incident comes amid political turmoil in the country. initiated by a botched attempt by now suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol to impose martial law earlier this month. How many of you have ever lived under martial law? It's no joke. I lived under martial law for probably 6 months in the Philippines. And if it's dark and your skin's white, you better be off the street. They had big guns, long guns with live ammo. And while I'd never heard of anyone being shot during the time that I was there, I have no doubt that they were under orders to pull the trigger if the situation called for it. Okay, artificial intelligence giant OpenAI revealed long anticipated plans to restructure the organization Friday. We talked about it on Friday, announcing it will transition to a public benefit corporation with an associated nonprofit arm. That sounds very confusing. I have a nonprofit, and honestly, I've never even heard of a public benefit corporation. I'm sure it's just another name for a for-profit entity. The company said the move will allow it to raise the capital needed to finance its massive computing needs while balancing the interests of shareholders and the public. Now valued at $157 billion, the maker of ChatGPT originally began as a fully nonprofit in 2015. In 2019, the organization moved to a hybrid model with the relatively smaller nonprofit arm controlling a for-profit operation, a structure that played a role in a failed attempt to oust CEO Sam Altman in 2023. You know, this Gemini is really interesting. If you haven't played with it, you can for free. Just download it to your phone. You can have a conversation. I mean, you can literally open it up on your phone and go, I don't feel so good today. And it's sure, whatever voice you're using, he, she will go, well, what's wrong? Do you feel sick? Or what are your symptoms? Or are you depressed? I mean, it's mind-boggling. Give it a try. And then probably delete it from your phone. I don't know. It's intriguing, but I don't know, a little creepy. I guess we'll get used to it over time. When our microwave talks to us and our refrigerator talks to us. Yeah. Elon Musk is Tesla's CEO in title only nowadays, and is keener on wielding power in the incoming Trump administration. One outspoken investor in the electric vehicle maker contended Elon is certainly setting the direction and the tone of the business and overseeing the senior executives that are in charge of all the different projects, but in the traditional sense of running a company, like what's going on at NVIDIA, not at all. I think Tesla shareholders are more than aware that their CEO works for Donald Trump at this point. The bromance between Musk and Trump has been on full display for months. Trump and Musk have publicly praised each other, and the latter has donated at least $132 million to Trump's and other Republicans' campaigns. For his public support, Trump awarded Musk a role in his administration alongside another ardent supporter, Vivek Ramaswamy, as the head of the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. So you got, you've heard the saying, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I hope that doesn't turn out to be the case here. None of them need the money, okay? Nobody's doing this for the money. They all have more than they could spend if they just went on a crazy spending spree the rest of their life. So we'll see. I hope they can get along. I really do. All right, we had some news this morning. Housing contract activity picked up again in November as buyers shrugged off elevated mortgage rates and took advantage of higher inventory levels. The pending home sales index, which tracks contract signings on existing homes, rose 2.2% from October to 79, its highest reading since February of 2023. According to the National Association of Realtors, an index level of 100 is equal to contract activity in 2001. It is the fourth straight month of gains. Pending home sales are up 6.9% compared to November of 2023. Consumers appear to have recalibrated expectations regarding mortgage rates and are taking advantage of more available inventory. Now, the U.S. stock market will be closed January the 9th in observance of a national day of mourning for former President Jimmy Carter. Typically, when a U.S. president passes, the markets do close for a day. It's usually the day, President Carter passed on a Sunday. So, if I'm not mistaken, in keeping with normal traditions, today would be the day the markets closed. But because a lot of traders, institutions, the deep pockets, they've got to do a lot of positioning for the end of the year. Tax selling and all that kind of stuff. So I'm guessing that's why they pushed it out to January 9th. The New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ Incorporated's U.S. equities exchanges, and the CBOE global markets will shut. CME Group, operator of U.S.-based equity and interest rate markets, has not yet commented on its plans. As you know, we do most of our trading through the CME. So, the bond market will close at 2 p.m. New York time, per the recommendation of the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association. The closures are part of a long-standing American tradition in which financial institutions halt operations following the death of a president. Carter died December 29th at 100 and was the longest living U.S. president in history. The most recent National Day of Mourning came on December 5th, 2018, for the funeral of President George H.W. Bush. So, it'll be interesting to see if the CME doesn't follow suit with the New York Stock Exchange. I'm sure they probably will. They don't look bad, right? How cold is it? U.S. natural gas futures soared as the weather outlook for January just shifted colder, raising demands for the fuel used in heating and power generation. Natural gas for February delivery rose as much as 20% in New York. That's the most since the contract started trading in 2012. Most active futures climbed to the highest level in almost a year. The National Weather Service expects a higher chance of colder than normal weather across the U.S. East and Midwest in its latest 8 to 14 day outlook. That would be an abrupt shift from what's until now been a mostly mild fall and early winter in the U.S. And Brazil in the news again today. Brazilian assets are on track to close the year lagging all major peers. With the real set for its biggest slump since the pandemic shock of 2020, amid mounting skepticism over President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's commitment to fix a ballooning budget deficit. The real has weakened almost 22% against the dollar this year, the worst among 31 major currencies tracked by Bloomberg. Losses accelerated in November after a long-awaited fiscal package underwhelmed investors. Not even a historic intervention by the central bank, spending some $20 billion in reserves in 2 weeks, has been able to reverse the rout. The Monetary Authority stepped in again today, the last trading session of the year for local assets, selling about $1.8 billion in a spot sale. The currency reversed earlier losses and was up 0.4% following the announcement in a low liquidity day. Well, we got a Fed and a president, an incoming president. Now, I'm sure you're all hearing this talk about maybe we don't have a new president on January 20th. Barack Obama, on Christmas Day at an interview, said if the president is inaugurated on the 20th. Now, after making that kind of a remark, he better pray that nobody does anything to harm this president on the way to the White House. Now, of course, they're fighting over the speaker, Mike Johnson, who I think has done a pretty fair job. But if they can't agree, if we don't have a speaker on the 6th, he can't certify the Electoral College votes. And then we just look stupid in front of the whole world. Okay, we just won the presidency, and I guess you could call it a landslide victory. I mean, come on, we got the public vote, we got the Electoral College vote. Now we can't certify it because we may not have a speaker. It's just ridiculous, but hey, that's the news. I don't make it up, I just read it. All right, Logic 247. Here we are in week 335. Now, Logic 247, that's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, silver, bonds. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, through 11 a.m. this morning, we issued a total of 21 alerts. Still waiting on the outcome of 5. We had 16 actionable alerts, of which 4, or 25%, would have been stopped out based on market structure and a very simple process that we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, the real purpose of the logic alerts, well, you can trade them. The real reason for their existence is to help you learn how to read a chart. So if you're just using them to trade, you're making a mistake. Use them as they're intended. And then if you want to trade them on top of that, okay, fine, right? But until you learn how to read a chart, your hopes and dreams of becoming someone who trades for a living are, well, less than probable. The Concierge Trade Alerts, which was our original alert service, is quite a bit different. Now, if you're a member or trial member, read this information because it's very important. If there's anything you don't understand, ask, and I will give you an answer. Last night, these targets, the CTAs, were published 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500 E-mini, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, NQ, gold, silver, and bonds. So, as we go to the charts, just remember, all members and all trial members had all these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. So, the daily chart of the S&P. Let's see what we got. Now, I said last night in the discussion group that the 24% Fib retracement should be good for a bounce under normal market conditions. Well, we spiked it real good, and look where we found support. Right at the lowest Fib extension. Okay, this is the 24, the 38, the 50, the 62. This was our Santa Claus rally, and we came right up into that area that we highlighted both here on the broadcast and in our last members only workshop. As you can see, we put in a doji right at that trend line. Now that trend line connects the low of August 5th with the low of November 4th. And the high of December 26th. Because now we're approaching it from below. Okay, on this move down, it just whipped right through it. Okay, so this lowest Fib extension has been good support on this day and on this day. We found support here based off this previous bullish cross. And it was in a members only workshop that I noted right here where the step line crossed red and falling, turning it to blue and climbing. I drew this rectangle, and the following day, or actually the session had already started, but we came all the way down right to that little spot, and the market found support, and that's when the bounce became. That was our Santa Claus rally, and this is the market giving back. It gave back most of it early on today. Now the market has tried to recover, but we still have these obstacles overhead. We got above red and falling, but then we got the step line, the 38% Fib extension, and the BVC all right here. So as I drew that circle there, I could draw another circle right there. So, worked the first time, we'll see what happens this time. See, that's 3 separate reasons for the market to find resistance. The step line, the 38, and the BVC. Now, whatever market you trade, whether it's futures, individual stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs, I recommend you spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you start your trading for the day. Because institutional traders, the ones who move price, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Has everything to do with account size. They have account sizes in the hundreds of millions, billions, and trillions of dollars. They trade an incredible size. They can withdraw. They can withstand a drawdown far longer than you or I. And they can stay in a profitable position far longer than you or I might be comfortable with. So, you get a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets that move price. Might be a good idea to see what they're up to since they move price, right? Now, along with the free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets, you're also able to identify major areas of resistance and areas of support that you can't see on your smaller time frames. So 2 minutes a day, try it for 30 days and see if it doesn't become a habit. All right, these weekly trading zones are last week's weekly trading zones because the weekly zones are not published until Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, as they were this morning. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. So, any alerts I put out Sunday night are based on the previous week zones. But the alerts I put out today are based on this week's zones, which will be on my charts when we return on Thursday. Okay. So, here's the ES. This was the opening candle last night. We're below the BBC. Actually, we opened here. We made a run up. We spiked the BBC. Enough to get your goal for the day if you wanted to go that direction. But then we came down and we got below blue and climbing. Okay? And that turned blue and climbing to red and falling. And that took us down to the target, to the tick. The low, I don't know why that, my resolution on my monitors are all messed up. But I think you can see that this low from Friday is this low right here. The market found support. When the market finds support, it will bounce until it finds resistance. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. It held here, and it held here, and it held here, held here, and it held here, and here, and here, and then it gave way. We came down through the target. We spiked that weekly zone at 59.75. Now, we still had another zone below us, but only 3 things happen when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the time will be consolidation, 20% of the time rejection, 10% of the time the slice. So, and that's under normal market conditions. So as you can see, this candle did slice, in fact, all right through that zone like it wasn't even there. Now what will typically happen is when that move runs out of steam, price will retrace back to the zone it sliced through and continue in the direction of the slice. But there was such an absence of buying pressure that we were only able to get back up to, I can't even read that. I gotta fix this. Oh Lord. So it tried to get back to the zone, couldn't quite do it. And if you go look left, off this low, you're going to have to scroll a good piece, but you'll find the reason for support. Buyers came in, took us up. The black step line crossed red and falling. When that happens, that tells you price is heading for the BBC. We got blue and climbing here. Looks like this is going to be one of those times when the pullback to the BBC doesn't hold. Now, can't speak too quickly because this candle still has 15 minutes in its lifespan. These are 30-minute candles. So, for all we know, this candle could end up closing back below the zone. Although there does appear to be an upbeat tempo. These lows over here, right here, that's basically where we are right here. You see that? So we may pump up a little higher and then get another drop. Not a forecast, just an observation. But we did in fact hit our short target. So holiday trade is weird, but it's all you got. So the Dow chart looks almost identical to the ES. We got below blue and climbing. Down we go, right to the short target. Support. Now, this zone is 43,180/185. Looks like we got down to about, I think we missed touching the zone by 3 ticks. But that support bounced us up to the BBC, and the pullback held, and the pullback held, and then down we go. And we hit this zone. This is consolidation. Wide ranging, but consolidation nonetheless. All the candles are touching the zone. Okay. Now, the step line crossed red and falling. Price rallied right back up to the BBC. Now over here, see, it's still got a ways to go before it hits these lows right here, which were support. Which means if price gets up to 430.80, I could turn into resistance. Now, red and falling has hooked up, but it hasn't turned to blue and climbing yet. Let me refresh this chart and see if that changes the outlook. Yikes. Nope, still red and falling. It's going to turn, if this candle continues up to this area here, I'll be very surprised if it doesn't turn to blue and climbing. In fact, I'm surprised it hasn't already, but anyway. The Russell. We opened below the BBC. We consolidated at the zone. Got a leg and a retracement. The pullback held, a leg and a retracement. And as you can see, we consolidated at the zone. And then in one candle, we dropped all the way down to the short target. And then continued down to the next zone. Support. Sends the market looking for resistance. Now you would think the resistance is here at the zone or at these highs, and indeed it may be, but first you've got this bearish cross right here. That's when the red line gets below the green line. When you have a bearish cross, the first time price revisits that area, right where the cross took place, will almost always be good resistance the first time up. Same is true of a bullish cross, but in the opposite direction. In Q. Okay. Here's where we opened last night. We're below the BBC. We did pull up to the BBC and the pullback held. So we got a leg and a retracement and the pullback held, and a leg and a retracement and the pullback held, and then a leg and a retracement and the pullback held, and then 7:30 this morning Eastern, price took a big drop. And if you go look left, you'll start to understand market structure. Okay. Now the step line has not crossed red and falling, but it is directly below it. See, if you look at the vertical line on my cursor, if I put it on the step line, it's directly below red and falling. So if we get one more sideways candle, that's going to drag the step line from the left side to the right side of red and falling. And what does that mean? That means price is probably going to attempt a rally back to the BBC. That's how that works. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night. Hit the target, hit the zone, consolidated, pull back to the BBC. Now this was a deep pullback, but if you'll notice, the candles never lost physical touch with the BBC. So while that's a little unusual, now where did it find support? Right here. Okay. It was not the closing candle on Friday. The closing candle is behind this vertical line, which separates today, Monday. Here's Friday. Here's Thursday. Okay, and we're almost, well, we had this huge leg to the upside. We had a retracement to the BBC. The pullback held, and that sent us almost up to last week's zone at 71.60. But the step line has crossed. And so I would anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. However, the step line, because it's directly below price, it can now act as support. So if you're going to counter trend trade this, let price get below the step line, 71.10. Currently the BBC is at 79.70.96. So be careful with that one. Okay. But as you can see, when price drops to a zone, we expect support. When it rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance, consolidation. And we came real close here. 71.56 roughly, so we missed it by about 4 ticks. Gold. This was the opening candle on gold last night. Now we got above the BBC. This thing opened. I can't read it. It opened right at the zone basically, 25.36, and it put in a high about $400 per contract up, and then the pullback held, and then the pullback held, and then the pullback didn't hold. But this pullback did hold, and that sent us right down to the target. This red candle opened at roughly 26.35. So it was about a $600 move down to the target. Now, how far back you gotta go? Right there. See, we spiked it and we spiked it. But that sent us back up to the zone. And when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Just as when price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. You can see the step line has hooked right. It's preparing to cross, red and falling, and price is headed for the BBC. Now this would be a counter trend trade, but 26.19 to 26.22, that'd be $300 per contract traded. And silver. Okay, we opened the pull up to the BBC held, sent us to the target. We consolidated along the BBC. We hit the target again, bounced back to the BBC. Now we've come down through this zone. The step lines cross, so get ready to see silver attempt to rally back to the BBC. And there you have it. Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room. Then we'll do some live trading on TradingView. I'll come back and wrap things up with a good word for the day. Okay, yep, hang on. Yep, looks good.
trades, to reduce the number of trades. We may even go to a larger time frame at some point. And Ross, I don't know if you're in here right now. Ross is not in here right now, but that's something that I would think about and consider as we go into 2025. All right, now going into the individual markets, gold, this is all we had here on gold, right? We started out with a break even, and then we had a +4. Then we had another +4 that got us to 8. And then we had a +9 that got us to 17. And that was it on the gold. There were more trades in here. There was a long right here. The open of that bar was a long, probably would give me a break even. The open of that 77.25. That's 20 ticks. 20 ticks before it moved back up. So the open of this bar was right there. The open of this bar was right there. The open of this bar was right here. The open of this bar was right there. The open of that bar was right there. The open of this bar was right there. The open of that bar was right there. There's just plenty of opportunity again and again and again today. And going into the new year, I think you guys are going to see that there is going to be just a ton of opportunity. I think we're going to have a big year this year. Maybe our biggest year yet. All right. So if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com. This is the that might have popped in on YouTube. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. If you start the trial today, it will go into next year. Sign up for the trial and it'll bring you into the next year in our trial. Just fill out this form. It takes about 30 seconds. If you don't have TradingView charts, we strongly encourage you to get TradingView charts because these indicators that you see down here are only on TradingView. All right, you can follow along in the room and maybe try to keep up in the room, but really you want to get TradingView. And they give you a free trial. All right, to take the TradingView free trial, go to mytradingiq.com, click on Trading Platforms, and right here, you can watch that little video. Click on this button. It says TradingView.com Go Pro. Click on that. This may or may not send us an email. So however you're emailing us, just email us your TradingView login ID. Okay, we'll get your chart set up for you. All right. Now on the gold. And up close on this bar. This is a pretty good chopper in right here on the gold. So an up close on this bar should be a good opportunity to get a short and work our way back down to the range low right there. Okay. And we have nothing over here and none here and nothing here right at the moment. Okay. All right. So that's what we're waiting on right now. Okay, we didn't end up getting an up close here. We got a down close, so there's no trade there. There's no trade here. There's no trade here. There's no trade here right at the moment. Now, I haven't gone to look at any of the other things that are going on out in the world right now. Like Bitcoin, is this an all-time high up here at 108,000? That was the other day. Yeah, that is the all-time high right there. This is the daily chart. Okay, so Bitcoin's getting smashed pretty good. Well, it was. It's actually up on the day right now. Let's see some of these other things. About one more. We have silver. That's what Dwayne was just talking about a minute ago. Interesting. Silver. We'll go to 7. That's the YM. Using just plain TV trades on the YM. There's a beautiful short right there, beautiful long right there. Long, long, long. Every one of those trades is profitable so far. This one right here would have been the only stop out, and that was yesterday or Friday. All right, so just using the plain TV's trades has worked out great. And look at XRP. Ooh, XRP's, well, it went all the way down here to 199 and it got a bounce off of that. That's pretty good. Interesting stuff. Nobody has any questions. Okay, well, that's all good. Going into the new year, guys, we're going to be doing the diversion setup in the morning, so you're not really going to need, this is what your chart's going to look like going into the new year. All right, we're not going to need the context on there. Yeah, we'll have the weekly trading zones, so it'll be good stuff to use for targets and all that, but and particularly for the bigger picture stuff, the weekly trading zones will be really important. But as we keep going forward and moving forward with all this stuff, to reduce the overall number of trades, I know some of the guys are using this on the 16 range. Because we're not trying to be proactive and count the number of ticks it takes to get to the top of the bar or bottom of the bar anymore. We can switch this to whatever we want. I know we have some guys that are using the 16 range on this. Okay, and if you're using the 16 range, your stop's going to be a little bit bigger, but your target's will be a little bit bigger. And that was Daryl. I don't know if you're out there listening right now. Let me see. Daryl is out there listening. No, he's not. Okay. How much separation do you want between the black and the blue lines, Bart? You want the blue line to lead into the oversold or into the overbought. It's not really a matter of there being a huge amount of separation. If you have a bunch of separation, that usually works out better if you have a bunch of separation like that. But if it leads it in like this, it's just a little bit of separation. It doesn't matter. The blue's got to lead into the overbought or into the oversold. The separation isn't terribly important. It's the fact that the blue leads it. Okay. This is nice separation, but so is this, and they both work. You can come up with your own plan about not having more or less separation, but I don't think it really matters. Let's see all these different trades, and this is on the 16 range, yes. And this was today. Where's the beginning of today on this? It is right here. This is the beginning of today on the 16 range, yes. It was a great trade right here. One trade on the 16 range gets you your goal for the day. Done. Bam. Like that. First few minutes. Second trade right here, goal for the day. Third trade right here, goal for the day. 3 of them right in a row before 9:40. And that's just trading the ES. And it happened again and again and again. This one right here pulled back a little bit, but it eventually gave you the goal for the day. This one right here pulled back a little bit, but eventually gave you the goal. This one right here, goal. This one right here, goal. This one right here, goal. This one, goal. This one, goal. This one, goal. This one, goal. How much convincing do you need? Every one of those trades, it's like 10 of them right there. They gave you your goal for the day. And this is on a 16 range. When you get into a stronger trend like this, that's when you start to get the stop outs. Stronger trends, they tend to not work out as well. So think about that. If the leg lengths up are really big, then your pullback is going to be shorter. So when you get the opportunity to go short on a pullback, usually you'll be looking for it to get to 50% retracement, like right here. And then when you're at that 50% retracement part and you get this one right here, then that's the one you want to get on right there. You make it up there to the prior swing high, and you get your goal for the day long before it gets up there to the prior swing high. Okay. As we move forward with all this, there's going to be more information that I'm going to be giving to you guys and things that you'll be able to see and use to trade better and to stay in trades longer. But all the stuff that we've always done as far as leg lengths go and pullbacks and 50% retracements and all that stuff is always going to be in play, always. Right? This one right here that I just showed you on the 16 range ES had an open right here at 85.75, and it's all the way up here at 88.25 right now. So goal for the day, bang, right there on that one that I just showed you. Right, now over here, you see how the black is with the blue? They came up together, so there's not going to be a trade on that. Over here on the Russell, right here at the open of that bar, was a spot to go long. You see how simple it is, Bart? So in all your charts and on all your 4 monitors and all that stuff that you have going on, you can break it all down to this. And I know you have this and this and this. You have those to work with. But going forward, this is where it's going to be. Rick S., I see you're out there, and I see you still haven't pulled the trigger. I don't know what you're waiting for. You're missing a ton of opportunity. Every day you don't pull the trigger is money you didn't make. And right here was a trade. Right here was a trade. And we don't have anything over here right now. Ron B, everything's still working well for you? David S, I'm sure everything's working well for you. It will be a surprise. It will be a surprise. Say, hey, he finally pulled the trigger. It's been 6 years. All right, so this is a short right here on the gold. You made me laugh. That's good. All right, so here's the gold short. Okay, simple as that. Went up in there all by itself. Just sell it. Right, you don't need to try to get in ahead of time. I don't even have a good fill on this. 18.4 is where I should have been getting in. 18.1 is where I did. It's still gonna work out for me. 5 ticks in profit and stop, go to break even. See the range of the chop that we're in? Stop to break even. The range of the chop that we're in right here is perfect. Okay. Now before you used to hate being in chop. You'd wait all day for it to not be chop. But right now, the chop's our friend. I'm trying to find a thing. I can draw a rectangle, but I can't find it. Is it this one? I don't know. I can't remember where that darn thing is. Retracement, XYZ pattern, measurement tools, geometric shapes, ended up with a break even on it anyway. But basically, what I was trying to show you is that the chop goes from up here down to here, and the trade setups we get in between are perfect. Like the short we just got from there. If I had a better entry on that, I would have taken some profit on it. But my entry was off by 4 ticks. But it did drop down from the proper entry about 9 or 10 ticks with 12 contracts on. That's a good chunk of money. And it had a long trade from right here, the move up there, short trade from there, long trade from there, in this chop, on this one, right there, in the chop. So right there, buy, there, and you would just bought again right here a few minutes ago. There, you see it? It's right there in front of you. You were just sold right here on the NQ, right there. I wasn't paying attention. I'd have gotten that one. So guys, it's there for you again and again and again, day after day after day. It's never been this easy. I know you keep hearing me say that and I just make it easier, but that's not a bad thing, is it? All right. Well, I wish I would have taken the short right there. Then we could have ended the year with a 48 tick NQ win. But we're running out of time. I don't know that we're going to get another trade. We could get another NQ trade, but I don't know that we're going to. It's possible we'll get another NQ trade. See, it's not painting right here. And you go there, and back to there. It's possible we'll get a long trade. Nope, they went together. The black and the blue are together right there, so it's not going to be a trade. They went together over here, so that didn't end up being a trade there either. All right. Any questions? Anybody? Everybody? Anybody? Now we might get one here on the NQ. Be a long trade, not a short. If that leads into the oversold right there, it'd be a long trade on that. And that didn't happen. All right. I don't know, guys. We have 2 minutes left now. We're down to 2 minutes for the year of 2024. And they went together, so it's not a trade. We can go back down to a 7 range on this. But one of the things that I was just talking with one of our guys about was about the larger time frame stuff. This all works on a larger time frame too. Okay, all the same stuff works on a larger time frame. This is the 100 range NQ. So your stop's going to be like 110 ticks, right? But if you look at the trades, starting out the morning, the first trade, that was at 9:17. The first trade would have been right here. You would have been selling the open of that bar right there. There's 100 tick bars. So if you sold the open there, we'll say at 400, somewhere around there. The top of that bar was this one right here, right? Nope, this one. Sold the open of that. So the open was at 375 and the top was only 1 point away at 475. And the bottom was all the way down at 39.75 for 96 ticks on that first bar. And if you stayed in it, it went all the way down here. So the open here was at 375 and it dropped to a low on this bar of 30.50. So that's just a crazy amount right there. 404, 375, and the low here of 30.50. So that's 74 points. 74 points at 20 bucks a point in your very first trade with one contract. Crazy. Yes, me too. Best wishes to you and yours too, David. It is time, guys. It's 1:30. I'm going to wrap it up with no more trades here. Doesn't look like we ended up with one either, did we? Let's go to the end. Oh, this is the end. I guess it was one more trade right here that I didn't get. It was right here and it just ran 30 ticks bullish before it pulled back. But that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for a great 2024. And you all have my number if anybody's got any questions or anything like that. Hope you all have a safe and happy new year. And we'll be back on Thursday. All right. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I am. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 11 minutes and 3 trades to get to $4,800.
Great way to end the year.
It sure was. Excellent way.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up with our good word for the day. Prophecy fulfilled. Isaiah 46:10. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times, things that are not yet done. How can you be sure? The Bible is divinely inspired and therefore worthy of your trust. By prophecy fulfilled. No other religion has specific, repeated, and unfailing fulfillment of predictions made many years in advance of events over which the predictor had no control. Finite human beings know the future only if it's told to them by an infinite being. And God provided this evidence for us so we would know that the Scriptures have a divine author. Isaiah 46:9, "For I am God, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done." The Bible's 66 books, written between 1400 BC and AD 90, contain approximately 3,856 verses concerned with prophecy. And here's the best part. Over 25% of the entire Bible contains specific predictive prophecies that have already been fulfilled. Literally. Sir Isaac Newton said, "I find more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than in any profane history whatsoever." You ask, then how come some people don't believe the Bible? Because they haven't opened their hearts to God. Paul writes, "No one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, that we might know the things that have been freely given to us by God. These things we also speak, not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the Holy Spirit teaches. The natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him, nor can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned." 1 Corinthians 2:11 through 14. It's been a great year. Thank you for sharing it with us. I wish all of the very best for you, your family, your loved ones, your homes, your relationships, your finances. Most of all, I pray that 2025 will be the year that you draw closer to God through a personal relationship with Jesus, closer than you ever have before. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.